Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So this is a double-breasted jacket for my client's daughter. It's her graduation day in school and the theme is to make this kind of jacket. So my client asked me to make this for our daughter. So I'm going to be showing you how to start this from the cutting to the sewing and how to get a proper inseam finishing, how to hide all your stitches. So let's get right into it. So here is my pattern paper. So I'm going to be showing you what I did here. So to start with, I left 3 inches from the start of the pattern paper. Then I went to ahead to mark the length of the blouse. Then the next thing I did here was to divide our hip measurement by 2, which was 16 here. Then I went ahead to divide that by 2 again, which means I have 8 inches on both sides. So now to get the vertical measurement, I just went in to mark our chest line, then I marked our waist point, and I also marked the length of the blouse. So I'm just going to be marking this out on the other side as well, so I can just connect everything together. So to make you understand better what I did, just divide the pattern into 2. I'm just trying to divide the front and the back pattern so it can be easy for me to work on both patterns together. So now that I have done that, I'm going to start marking my shoulder point. So for this, I used 13 inches for our shoulder, which was divided by 2. So that gave me 6.5. So I just went ahead to connect those points together like that. So the next point I marked was around bust measurements. So marking that on the chest line, I went in to add ease of 1 inches, and I also marked around waist measurement divided by 4, and I also added 1 inches for ease and an extra 1 inches for that allowance. On the hip line, I also marked around hip measurements plus 1 inch for ease. So the ease allowance depends on you, because this is a jacket, a suit jacket. I don't want it too tight, so that's why I'm adding 1 inch for ease. So once I was done with that, I'm going to be marking the neckline. So for this neckline, I used around 1.7 by 1 inches for the back neckline. So I'm going to be doing the same thing for the front, so I'll show you that later on. So the next thing I just did was to mark the shoulder slant. So here I used half inches. Now to get the armhole, I just divided that point by 2 and I went in for half inch on that point. So I'm going to be using my curve to just shape that out like that. So remember, this is the back pattern, so I'm working on the back pattern first. So here now I want to mark my back depth, because our back is not straight, so we need to eliminate that back bulge. So I went in by 0.5 inch on that waistline and I just connected it to the chest line and the hip line like that. So the next thing I just did here was to divide what I have left by 2. So once I got that point, I just went in to remove my dart allowance. So remember, I added 1 inch for my dart allowance and I already removed half inch for the back depth, so I only have like 0.2 inch on both sides for the dart allowance. So depending on how much dart allowance you want to add, you can go ahead to do just that. But remember, you don't want too much dart, because my client is actually, she's a small girl, so she doesn't really need that much dart. So the 0.2 inches is very okay. So now I'm just connecting the dart lines together. I went ahead to connect up to the chest line and I also connected to the hip line like that. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing is to just shape out whatever style line I want to do. So here I want my dart line to go all the way to the shoulder So I'm just going to divide the shoulder point by 2 like that, and I'm going to connect the dart lines up to the shoulder point. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to do the cuff princess dart, you can go ahead to make your dart go into your armhole. So now I'm working on the front pattern. So here I'm just marking my shoulder points, and I marked it on the chest line as well. So remember, the next thing to do is to just mark the round bust measurement on that point as well. So for that, the next thing was to mark my round waist measurement. So whatever I had there, I just added my dart allowance and also the 1 inch allowance for the ease. So remember, we want our jacket to have ease, want it to be free, not too tight, and at the same time not too free. So that was just what I did there. I just went in to connect the points together, and I just checked what I had for the neckline for the back, and I also marked it for the front, which was 1.7 inches for the horizontal measurement. For the vertical measurement, I think I used around 2.5 inches or so. So I just went in to shape my neckline like that. So for the shoulder slant for the front, I came down 1 inch and I just connected it like that. So if you don't have a good knowledge of how to draft a basic pattern, you can check other tutorials on how to draft a basic pattern. That is going to help you more to understand this process better. So here I'm just shaping my armhole in. So for the armhole depth, I went in 0.5 inches for the front. So now I'm just going to be shaping my darts for the front. So the first thing I did here was to remove ½ inch from the sides. Why I did that was because I didn't want too much darts on that waist area. I just wanted it to be 0.2 on both sides. Remember, I only added 1 inch dart allowance. So now I'm just going to be extending the dart line up to the chest line and also up to the shoulder points like that. So you're just going to be connecting it together. So it's very easy, it's quite easy. Just follow this process because you would need to draft a perfect basic pattern first before you can go ahead to draft the extended lapel and the collar area for your jacket. This is very important. That is why I'm starting from the basic pattern so that you can understand it very well. So now that I've marked the dart lines for the front, so I just went in to measure my back, my round measurement for the back, because I want to move my paper so you can see the markings for the extended line where I am going to be marking my lapel point. So here I extended the line by 3 inches. If you would notice, I came up from my waistline around 2 inches and I just marked that point out by 3 inches. So how low you want your lapel to come out depends on where that mark is going to start from. So I started like 2 inches over my waistline. If you want it to be on your waistline, you can go ahead and do just that. So the next thing I just did was to come in from my neckline around 0.2 inches and I just connected it to the edge of that line like that. So once I connected it, I'm going to be extending my neckline out the same way. So depending on how wide you want the lapel to be, you can go ahead and extend the neckline like that. So for this I used around 2.5 inches. So depending on the shape you want your lapel to form, this is where that comes into play. So here I just make sure it was slightly curved. If you want it straight, you can go ahead and do a straight you can go ahead and mark a straight line. So I was just showing you there that you can just mark a straight line as well. So once I was done doing that, I just make sure that I extended that line up, because that part is where my collar is going to be. Remember that 3 inches that we left at 4, so we're going to be using it here. So now I make sure I extended the line up by round back the round back measurements that I measured earlier, which was around 2.5. So I just extended the line up, and I make sure that I connected a straight line horizontally with the shoulder line, like that. So just follow the way I am doing it, and you're going to find it easy. So the next thing I just did here was to come in around 0.2 inches on that point, because you want your collar to relax very well into your neckline. So I'm just coming in 0.2 inches, and I'm just shaping it like that. I know it looks like a lot of steps, but it's actually not that much if you just follow it step by step. So the next thing to do is just to know the width of your collar that you want. I think I used around 3 inches there. So once I was done marking the 3 inches, I'm just going to extend it to, the that width, like that. So I'm going to be showing you what next I did here. So I want to draw out the shape that my lapel and my collar is going to form. So it's better you mark everything out so you can see how it's going to look at the end of the day. So I just marked out 1 inches on that point, and I just connected it to my collar like that. So you can see how it's looking like you can picture it, how the collar is looking like and the lapel is looking like already, without even cutting it. Do you get? So now I'm just using my marker to just bring out the lines out so you can see it very well. So you can see that 1 inch shape that I came out. I think I used around 1.2 inches, and uh that is it. So I was just using my marker to just mark it out so you can see it very well. So once I was done doing that, so I'm going to be going ahead to just you know do the other things, like shaping the down parts of the blouse. If you look at the thumbnail, it has is the front part is slightly curved, so I just went in to do that. So once I was done doing that, I'm going to start cutting now. So once I start cutting, you're going to be seeing, I'm going to be showing you where everything is going to be, so you see how it's going to be looking, so you have an idea of what your jacket is going to be looking like at the end of the day. So here I'm starting to cut the back. So that is the back. See the way I cut it, just follow the same step. So now I am cutting the front part. So can you see? So I'm going to be cutting the lapel out first, which is that. So once I cut out it like that, so I'm going to be just be marking, using my marker to mark out some points that I'm going to be notching later on. So here I'm just cutting out the collar so you can see what it was looking like. So here I'm just notching, um because you're going to be needing the notches later when you're sewing, so everything, that every point meets. So once I was done with that, I was just cutting out the dots, just showing you to make sure to label your patterns so you can easily recognize them. So here I was just showing you how it's going to look like when you place the collar and the lapel together, so you can see that there. So once we were done with that, the next thing we did was to just, mark out my pattern on, place my pattern on my fabric, and I added my seam allowance. So for this, just go ahead and use half inches all around. Half inches is fine. You don't really need too much allowance for jackets. You can use 1 inch for the side, which is very very okay. So here I'm cutting the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I'm using so I marked out a vertical measurement. So once I marked out the vertical measurement, so I went ahead to divide the first point by 2. So once I got that, I just marked out the round measurements for the short sleeve, and I added 1 inches to that. So once I had that, I just went in to divide the point by 2 on that point. So this is a way that you can cut your sleeve. It's a very very easy way. It's a shortcut. So you just bring your curve and just shape it like that. So once I was done shaping it, I'm just going to be connecting the other horizontal points to get that. So for the elbow, I just marked out a round measurement and I added 1 inches, and for the wrist as well, I marked out the round measurement and I added 1 inches as well. So I'm just going to be connecting them together like that. So guys, if you have reached this stage of the tutorial, please do us well by liking the video. Let us know you enjoy the content. Drop a message, drop a comment if you have questions, and we're going to be replying. Thank you for joining us. So here I have added stay to my fabric. I'm just showing you what it looks like. I went ahead to cut an extra facing to that. So you're going to use the main fabric to cut facing, so that when you flip the lapel, the facing is going to be the one showing on the other side. You don't want your lining showing on the other side, so you're going to be cutting a full facing for the front part. So you can see the way I did it. So just follow the step, you're good to go. So I'm just showing you what everything looks like. Here I've gone ahead to sew in the darts, and that is what the front part looks like there. So here is the back. So you see what the back looks like. That's the lining for the back piece, and you can see I didn't estate the lining part, so I made sure I added full estate to the main fabric. So there is what the back was looking like when I was done sewing. So you're just going to hold your half-inch sewing allowance, and you're going to make sure you iron it properly. So just open up the stitches and iron, and make sure you use a steam iron. So here is what the front and the back was looking like. So you're just going to go ahead to join the sides together. Now you join the lining separately and you join the main fabric separately as well, depending on what allowance you had for the side. So you can see what mine was looking like. I added around 1 inches to the side, and I just went into, sew in that and iron it out properly like that. So the other thing I did was to join the shoulder as well and iron the shoulder out, the shoulder seam out. So I did the same thing for the lining as well. So you can see what it was looking like when I was done doing that. So just make sure you iron. You're going to iron every step, everything you do, you need to iron, and make sure you use a steam iron. It is very very important. So there I was done doing that. So now I want to try and create the pocket area for the jacket. So looking at the thumbnail, it has pockets. So the first thing I did was to mark out where my buttons was going to be, my buttons, because it's going to show me where my pocket is going to be. Because if you go and place your pocket and it overlaps on your button area, you would not like that, and you have to start losing it and doing it all over again. So that was the measurement I used for the pocket side, so I just went in to pin it to the other side as well. So I went in to sew it in like that. So once I was done doing that, the next thing I'm doing is to join the collar part. So this is the collar part. I'm going to be joining it to the main fabric separately. So remember to cut 2 pieces for your collar. So you're going to pin it like that. So you join it to the main fabric, and you also join the second piece to the lining fabric. So I'm going to be showing you how you're going to do this neatly, so you have a very neat finishing. It is very important. So you can see the way I am pinning the collar to the jacket. Please do well to watch this video to the end. You are going to be learning a lot of people pay a lot of money to learn this, so just take your time to go through the video. Okay, so here I am done joining the collar together. So you join it to the lining parts like that as well. Remember to use your fabric to cut the collar, both the main collar and the one that goes into the lining. So once you're done doing that, you're going to start sewing like that. See the way my hand is, you start sewing from the down part. When you get to that point that where the collar and the lapel meet, you stop. You make sure that your seam are not together. You don't sew on the seam lines at all. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm going to try and explain it again. So you start sewing from that down part, you sew all the way. When you get to that point, you stop. You don't sew all the way to the other edge. So you see where I used my chalk to mark, you stop at that point. So you make sure that your seam, see the way I'm flipping the seam. So when you stop at that point, you start sewing for the collar parts. I hope you get what I'm saying. So here it is, I have sewn it here, so I'm going to be showing you what I did. So you can see the seam that I did the sewing. So when I got to that part, I stopped. I make sure that I did not sew on those seams. So you can see that you can easily flip it up or down. So this is the best way. So once you get to that part, you stop and you start sewing on the collar as well. So this is the other side, so you do the same thing on the other side. So you can see that it's easy for me to flip my seams up and down because I did not sew on my seams. The reason why most people do not have a neat finishing is because they sew on their seams. Make sure that you don't sew on those seams at that point. Just do it the way I showed you in this video and you get a neat finishing jacket. So here I'm just notching it. So once I notch it finish, I'm going to be showing you what next to do. So you're going to be turning it out. So now remember, we want an inseam finishing. We were going to hide all our seams, so I'll show you how you are going to do that. So please do well by subscribing to my channel and make sure you watch my videos when I drop it. You know I love you so much. So here is the jacket, what it's looking like. So you can see how neat that edge, that part is. You can see it because I did not sew on any unnecessary seams. So you can see, just do the way I did it. So you're going to make sure you note where your lapel folds, so you can iron that part very well. So you can go ahead and iron it at that point. So when you iron that lapel and the collar, so the next thing you're going to be doing is you want to fix your sleeve. Do you get? So at this point you've ironed all your jacket, you've ironed everything. Make sure that the parts that is supposed to go inside is going inside. Can you see what I'm showing you? That part is going to be going inside, so that when you flip your lapel to the other side, the seam lines is not showing. So just take your time to go through the video. Nothing good comes easy. Just go through the video and understand it. So here is my sleeve pattern. I've gone ahead to join the sides, so the lining and the main fabric. So I made sure the lining was shorter than the main fabric, around 1.5 inch or 2 inches. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be removing the pins around that armhole area. I placed the pins when I wanted to iron the jacket fully. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pick the first sleeve and you're going to, pin it to the armhole like that. Remember, you're only joining the armhole of the main fabric and the sleeve and the main sleeve, and you do the same thing to the lining as well. You join them separately, so that means you're joining 4 separate sleeves. So here I'm already done joining the 4 separate sleeves, so you can see what it's looking like, but you are not done yet. Yes, we're not done. So once you've done this now, we don't want any seam showing. So you can see that part, that's the first sleeve. I've not been able to turn it finish because there's no space to turn it again. So now what you are going to do is you just open up a small part of the sides of the jacket. So you can see what I'm doing there. I did not open the sides, so I just open one part like that, because you want to hide it. We're still going to hide it later, but just open it up like that first, because that's where we're going to be finishing everything. Yeah, that's where you're going to be going through to finish everything. You get? So now you place your hand inside like that, so that way it's going to be easy for you to finish the fourth sleeve. So once you're done finishing the fourth sleeve, you're going to have something like this. Now you want to do the hem of the sleeve. Remember, you've not done the hem of the sleeve. So this is how you're going to do it. So you put the joining, you place the joining of the main fabric and the lining together like that. You fold it like that. See the way I did it? You now use your pin to hold it together. So when you use your pin to hold it together like that, you now put your hand from that place that we opened, that place that we cut out. You now put your hand inside and bring that place that you pinned, you now bring it out. Can you see it? When you bring it out, you now slightly remove the pin and reposition your main fabric and your lining very well. So when you position it very well, make sure right side is on right side. Can you see it? Just follow this step. So make sure right side is on right side and you now start sewing. So once you sew everything finish, when you turn it, when you put it back inside the armhole, everything is going to be perfect. It's going to be there. Do you get? If you don't do it like this, there is a high chance that you are going to make mistake and you start losing. You just see that I don't want to tell you what I experienced with jackets, with my years of sewing before I got it right, and I've always done it this way now. Just don't do any unnecessary thing, just follow these steps and you are going to be good to go. You get? Don't go and put your sleeve before you start turning, or you do anything that is beyond all these steps that I'm showing you. So this is the second sleeve. So the same way, you pin it like that, you pin the sleeve like that, because that is how you want the sleeve to look like at the end of the day. So you pin it like that. Once you pin it like that, you now put your hand inside that part that we opened to bring it out. So once you bring it out, you reposition it. I'm intentionally showing you the second one so you see it very well. So you reposition it, you place the right side on the right side. Please do not make mistake. So you place it like that and you pin it back. You pin it back, you pin it round all the ends, then you sew. So it's easy for you to sew like this. Do you get? So now once you sew, see, you can see what it's looking like. So you can now put it back inside. It's going to sit, it's going to relax inside the sleeve. So there's another thing that I did not do here. There's a way you can hold your joining inside So there's a way that nothing is going to be moving, but even this way it's not going to be moving, no joining is going to be moving. So just do it like this. So once you're done with that, you can see the sleeve is neat. there's no there's no seam out, there's nothing that is showing, so everything is going to come out neat. So now the only part that you have left is that part that you need to close, that part that we opened earlier. So you can see I'm just showing you the inside now. So that's the only part you need to close. So now to show you how to do that, so just flip it over like that, you flip it to the wrong side like that, and you start sewing. Just sew till you get till you cannot sew again. So you sew till you cannot sew again. If you look at me now, the only space I have left is my finger that can go inside. It should not be more than that. Do you get? So you sew till you cannot sew again, you keep sewing till you cannot sew again, you get to a point that you see that you can't go again, so you leave it at that point. So you can leave it like this till your clients come in for fitting. So when they come in for fitting and maybe it's too big or it's too tight, you get, you can easily, you go through that place, you lose it from that place, then you adjust it. So when you adjust finish, you go back and you sew it back this same way, that same place, you sew it back till you cannot sew again, so you know that it's only your finger that can fit into it. So once you have that, then you now use your fabric gum to just gum that place, that tiny place that is not more than half inches. You just use your fabric gum to gum it, nobody is going to see it. You get? So that is how to finish a perfectly good jacket. So here is our perfect inseam finishing. Thank you for joining us. See you in our next tutorial. Bye bye.